Michigan versus Minnesota in the Battle of the Little Brown Jug on WCBN Sports Radio. A late start to the game for us after some technical difficulties, but we'll be with you for the kick received and out of the end zone. Minnesota's ball to start off the 25-yard line. Good evening, everyone. My name's Owen Crane alongside William Gray. Those past, I think it's mid-70s at least. 40 years of play.
Minnesota hasn't beaten Michigan in Minneapolis since 1977. Michigan's won their last 20 of 21.
It'll be Minnesota's ball to start after the Wolverines won the coin toss. They'll begin on their own 25, and they'll start. Errant pass goes nowhere. 2nd and 10.
Kaliakmanis rolling out of the pocket on a design QB rollout.
He'll take the snap in the shotgun. Quick handoff. He'll fake the handoff instead, and it's intercepted by the Wolverines. A quick start to the game. He'll take this one to the 10, 5.
RPO, a run pass option. I think Ethan Kaliakmanis should have handed that ball off. Delivered to the outside on about a 15-yard out route. Will Johnson. So Minnesota in an early spot giving up 7. Obviously not what you want to see from Ethan Kaliakmanis. No runs on that first drive.
He hands off to Corum. Looks to shuffle his way through the line. Correction on my part. McCarthy held
ball down as a runner, and we've seen it more over previous weeks as Michigan seek to run the football better against their Big Ten opponents.
McCarthy fooled me, didn't get him enough yardage. 3rd down and 3 in the red zone for Michigan. 2 receivers near side, 1 far side. McCarthy.
It's tougher, but JJ puts it on Johnson. He's got to have that. Maybe a bit too low towards the knees, but as
complete.
It's just they got to stop the run. Minnesota's only over midfield, but it feels like this drive is one that the Gophers can use to score some points here. But Minnesota's offensive line, I mean, can't speak enough praise. As the game goes on, I'm sure I'll give some more individual shout-outs, but those are big boys up front.
3rd and 2. Kaliakmanis in the shotgun. One receiver will move laterally left to right.
Route on the right side for the Gophers, but Kaliakmanis pressured, rolls right, finds his man, Marshall. But Corey Crooms Jr. was the guy on the loop route I was talking about. I think he was the intended target on the play. Pass rush got in there quick. Cam Good was fast on that play for a guy who's about 5'10", almost 300 pounds.
So 1st down for the Gophers from the Michigan 36-yard line.
Minnesota's going to call timeout.
Minnesota calls timeout, plus territory for the first time tonight. And a true opportunity to score as gaps in Michigan's rush defense have been exposed. William, what do the Wolverines need to tighten up?
You got to get off their blocks. You got to shed blocks. I mean, this has been a fundamentally sound run defense all season. I mean, I don't know. Michigan's just being beat up front by Minnesota. Gophers are getting pushed. Usually when you come in and you try to play man ball against a Jim Harbaugh coach team, you don't succeed. But Minnesota's been having success, albeit this is the first quarter. Michigan, historically under Jim Harbaugh, has been a effective team at halftime for making adjustments in these kind of facets of the game. And we'll see. I mean, Minnesota hasn't even scored yet. They are at the 36-yard line, but we'll see as the drive moves on.
Single back formation for Minnesota as the
Cooper.
Loss of 4, 2nd and 14 from the Michigan 40.
2010s, I think it can be done. It has been done before, albeit 50 years ago. But I don't know how this program functions in the new Big Ten.
They've certainly struggled, and definitely not the team of yesteryear. The conference expanded to 18. Now, I don't remember Minnesota's protected rivalries. Iowa,
Wisconsin.
Two other teams that aren't historically powerhouse, or aren't necessarily powerhouses these days in the Big Ten, at least.
Yeah, I mean, they're the Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa are the best teams in what you'd call the Big Ten West, whatever that was 50 years ago. The west side of the Big Ten, those are the 3 teams. And we talked to Minnesota Student Radio before the game, and they said that the Floyd of Rosedale is probably a more important trophy. Minnesota's gearing up to play Iowa in 2 weeks. That's just a big cutout statue of a pig. And then the end of the year game every year is against Wisconsin for Paul Bunyan's Axe. It's the second Paul Bunyan themed trophy in the Big Ten, the lesser known one. But Paul Bunyan's Axe has actually the past few years been won by Minnesota after a long stretch of Wisconsin dominance in the Barry Alvarez athletic director era and as head coach, obviously. But with the troubles they had at the end of the Paul Chryst tenure, it hadn't been as sure of a win for the Badgers, and the Gophers took advantage. So I don't know. And I mean, I overheard people in the press box talking about Big Ten promotion relegation. Maybe you have a Big Ten and a little 10. Or a Big Ten and a bigger 10. But I don't know. Man, I just miss when the Big Ten was 12 teams. I wasn't alive when it was 10, but I miss even that. Playing the same 10 teams every year, and I know Michigan, Ohio State dominated, but you get used to the teams you play, and I understand wanting to play more teams, and it's cooler, and there's more television money involved. But there's some sort of mystique in college football that's being lost.
Absolutely. No doubt about a loss of those regional rivalries that might not be protected per se, but are still important, like this Little Brown Jug game, something that was once upon a time played every year. Second quarter set to get underway. It's WCBN coverage of Michigan football. Owen Crane alongside William Gregory. We're in and out with the network, but appreciate you sticking with us. Minnesota ball, 1st and 16. Kaliakmanis looks near side. Can't connect with his receiver. Second down and 16 now for the Golden Gophers. Down a touchdown. We've seen them march downfield. They had to settle, however, for a 54-yard field goal.
Now, on a second down and 16, you want to gain 7 or 8 yards and avoid a third down and extremely long against this Michigan defense.
Michigan's defense holding solid, especially the more recent drives. Kaliakmanis holds on to the ball, takes it near side. He'll barely gain anything.
And so an outside give to Bryce Williams. I mean, it looked like more of an inside carry. He bounces it outside. And Williams has looked good in this game. He's looked explosive, but Michigan sets the edge on that run after he attempts to bounce it outside. I think a conservative play call for Minnesota not to go for a bigger chunk gain on second down and 16, set up a more manageable third down, but now it's third down and 14 in the shadow of your own end zone.
Certainly need yardage here. Kaliakmanis in the shotgun. 2 receivers each end as one moves laterally. They'll hand the ball off. Another conservative play call.
Minnesota fans getting a little antsy at 2 consecutive run plays, but I think that this coaching staff in this moment right now is not going to put the ball in Kaliakmanis' hands. Chances are on second down and 14, you're not going to gain a first down with the throw with how Michigan's pass defense has been playing the Gopher receivers. So you're just running into the kicker not called in the end zone on that play. But Morris, let's see who that was. Coming through the line, the freshman defensive back Brandon Hillman kind of knees the punter, Campbell.
No flag on the play, perhaps the second
Crawford,
missed flag. It'll be Michigan's ball to begin on their own 38-yard line. McCarthy in the shotgun, takes the snap, hands it off to Corum, cuts near side, breaks one tackle. He'll break another at the 50, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 20 as he's pushed out of bounds. What a run for Blake Corum to open up this Michigan drive.
It's a great run by Blake Corum. Great blocking, great design. You start Donovan Edwards wide left. He runs an orbit motion to the right, and the defense has to account for that. He's too dangerous of a player. So you vacate a defender on the left side of the field. Michigan runs a simple power sweep to the outside on the left side, and Corum breaks one for a big gain.
Michigan knocking on the door of the red zone on the Minnesota 22-yard line. 1st and 10. McCarthy in the pistol. He'll take the ball quickly, hands off. Look to be handoff to Donovan Edwards. Cut up the far side, broke a tackle. Brought down after a gain of 5.
Michigan extremely balanced so far tonight. I think it's more of what they wanted, as the first 3 weeks of the year we saw the passing game being the predominant engine of the offense. But the running game is far safer, and it avoids Michigan dropping games on the road like this against inferior opponents. Looking really good on this drive, blocking and running.
That'll be a gain of 7. 2nd down and 3 for Michigan. Single back formation for the Wolverines as a few players move laterally left to right. McCarthy takes the snap, fakes the handoff to Edwards. Instead, tosses it. This one to Roman Wilson. He'll cut to the far side, and he's pushed out after a 1st down.
Michigan getting a little tricky, running a toss end around, a fake to Edwards. Wilson running back. It's kind of just a classic toss end around play, but I don't know if Michigan needs to run a little bit of misdirection. I think they're talented and faster enough to get to the outside on straight handoff plays. I don't know why we haven't seen a lot of it in this game.
1st and goal, 6 yards to go to the end zone for the Wolverines. Single back formation. McCarthy hands off to Edwards. Did he blast through all the way? We'll await the referee's call. A lot of Wolverine fans thought he had it.
I think he did.
I'm glad I didn't call a touchdown when you raised your hands, William.
He broke the plate. I was looking at the Jumbotron. They must have set his knees down. In any event, Michigan's just going to run the football up the gut, I'd assume.
2nd with 1 to go.
Yeah, I mean, I formation, they're just going to send the ball right up the middle.
We know what's going to happen. Blake Corum back. There's the handoff. Did he break the plane? The ball comes loose.
Forward progress was stopped. Whistle was blown. Minnesota's got a clear recovery on the play. They could check this.
Not much of a question, but no, the Wolverines did not break the plane. It'll be 3rd and 1 to go once more for Michigan.
Now I'm really surprised. He got over. On the Jumbotron, he looked like he got over the line.
The Skycam right above.
So I guess Michigan scored 2 touchdowns. They'll have a chance to score a 3rd.
Same formation. I formation with Blake Corum back. Here's the play, the handoff. He's in the end zone. Michigan touchdown.
Diving over the top, Blake Corum. Now they run it a little bit more of a halfback blast to the B gap on the left side. Corum jumping clean over his offensive line. No, more of a power. Trevor Keegan pulling on the left side, kicking outside for Corum. And Blake just dives over the line. Touchdown Michigan, up 2 scores once again.
5'8", 213 pounds, uses those legs to launch himself into the end zone. Turner to attempt the extra point for the Wolverines. Here's the snap. The kick is up, and it's in the uprights. It's good. 17-3, our score. 5 minutes into the 2nd quarter.
Now, I'll tell you, he's a big 213. I wouldn't say he's as fast as Barry Sanders, but those thighs on Blake Corum might be as big as Barry Sanders. Another 5'7", 5'8" running back. Not comparing him to him, but that's the kind of build that Blake Corum's got.
He certainly uses his side and relative speed to his advantage. Michigan's go-to man. Never lets his height work as a disadvantage. Instead, that agile ability, especially when he runs into trouble, use some quick feet, break to the left or right. Corum will get the Wolverines where they need to go. 17-3, our score, 10:08 remaining in this 2nd quarter of play. It's Michigan football on WCBN.
Now, another thing that's been interesting is Michigan's been running the ball on the left side more than they have on the right. Henderson now slotted in at left tackle, Barnhart at right. But Keegan and Henderson are big guys on the left side. I think that Michigan is more comfortable running to that side right now. That's what it seemed like. Maybe Blake Corum's more comfortable, and part of that has to do with running out of the shotgun. You're usually going to put a running back on the right, and he'll cross the quarterback's face and go left. But just something to look at as we move throughout the year, what side in the running game Michigan likes to favor.
You know what, William? We've got time. About a minute left in this media timeout before Minnesota regains possession. Let's talk about our trip up to Minnesota. Certainly one of our more exciting road trips that I've ever been on.
Well, I never fail you, Owen. And this time we go to Matt's Bar in a neighborhood in Minneapolis. I believe it's Powderhorn Park. There's a few other neighborhoods in the area, but the entire area is called Powderhorn, I think. Matt's Bar is home to the famous Juicy Lucy burger, which is a burger patty. You put cheese on top, and then you sandwich that and encase the cheese with another burger patty. Throw that on the grill. The cheese melts. The burger grease mixes in with the liquid cheese. And you put that on a bun. Serve it. Pickles, onions, your choice. Oh, and you got lettuce. Weird. But serve the burger. You bite into it, and the cheese just flows out. It's this dive bar. Line out the door. We waited a half hour. But like I said, I will never disappoint you on a road trip, Owen. I will research the greatest places to go to and make this a memorable trip to the Twin Cities.
You know,
our first time.
William, as a former vegetarian, let me tell you, that burger was delicious.
Oh, and it smelled so good. We talked about how good it smelled. Good fries. We all got some merchandise. Well, you didn't because you didn't like the color of the T-shirt.
They were out of the maroon.
I got my gopher. Ooh.
Michigan will kick off. Sorry, too busy talking about the Juicy Lucy. Wolverines kick off. This one soars into the end zone. It'll be a touchback.
No,
Flags fly.
So that ball goes out of the back corner of the end zone, and when a kickoff sails out of bounds, it's a penalty. That way teams just don't kick the ball out of bounds every time and don't allow a return. It'll be a 10-yard penalty. Minnesota will start at their own 35-yard line instead of their own 25. That's the second illegal procedure on a kickoff that we've seen from Tommy Doman this year. If there's one thing in the kickoff game that he's shown, it's sometimes it'll hook on him. Minnesota's given 10 free yards on that play. But back to the burger. It was really good. We took a train there. That was more your expertise. We stopped at the Mall of America.
I'm an urban studies minor.
We saw the Nickelodeon Halloween-themed universe, but they said Boo-niverse.
We were thinking of you, Adam Bressler.
Yes. Shout out Adam Bressler, our former fearless leader, eternal president Adam Bressler.
Oh, we'll get back to football. Single back formation. Kaliakmanis takes a snap, runs back. He'll find a receiver, and he'll make it back to not even the line of scrimmage.
So Daniel Jackson working from the right side to left. He's behind the line of scrimmage on this flat route he's running across Kaliakmanis' face. So at any time, Michigan's liable to jam him. Now, they can't tackle him to the ground, but Ernest Hausman was covering him. Gave him a little bump. I think Minnesota fans who didn't know the rules as well wanted a penalty, but they're allowed to do that behind the line of scrimmage. So that kind of threw him off his course. Minnesota gains nothing.
2nd and 10, 9:30 left in this second quarter. Kaliakmanis with the receiver moving right to left, takes the snap in the shotgun, quickly hands the ball off, and again, no gain for the Golden Gophers.
That's probably going to be a loss of 1 or 2, actually. I think the refs are spotting it, loss of 1. 3rd down and 11. Zach Evans, no push up front, gets stuffed by the Michigan front, and I think that it could be possible Minnesota's days of just running the ball right up the middle could be over, as Michigan might have made some adjustments in the quarter break, especially with the offense's long drive as well.
Kaliakmanis, 3 receivers near side, 1 far side in the shotgun. Second down, 3rd down, I believe, and 11. Scoreboard's off. Here's the snap. He'll hold on to the ball as the pocket collapses, and he's sacked for a loss.
Derek Moore and Josiah Stewart in on the play, 2 of the off-the-bench pass rushers for Michigan, but as coaches have said all year, Michigan's able to swap out their defensive edge rushers for guys that are almost as good. You take Braden McGregor off the field and Jalen Harrell, you throw on Derek Moore and Josiah Stewart on 3rd down. They pin their ears back, get to the quarterback, and it's a big sack, loss of 7 on the play.
4th and 19. Minnesota will be forced to punt. This one's off. Fair catch called by the Michigan receiver. Brought in at the own 34-yard line.
Michigan's defense is, frankly, scary as somebody who's not even close to the football field right now. Playing quarterback against that pass rush. I've played some quarterback in intramural flag football. and the pressure comes in a flash, and you're not getting tackled, you're getting a flag taken away from your waist. So I can't imagine when not only do you have Stewart and Moore crashing into you, you got your own offensive lineman being pushed back in your lap. And that's what happened on that play. Even a little bit of interior pass rush. We've been waiting on the edge rushers to get involved for Michigan today. They finally do. Grant and Jenkins have been in on a couple plays inside. Now outside are getting to work. And really it's looking more and more like that long drive Minnesota had for the field goal. And it wasn't even long. They got stopped at the 40-yard line. Is more of an aberration. Michigan, I think, has shored up some of the poor play defensively.
Things not looking too good for Minnesota offensively as of late.
And the thing about it is that Michigan does have holes on defense. We've seen a lot of passes over the middle. Michigan will play two deep safeties, which leaves the middle of the field open. We've seen long touchdowns against Rutgers. And long runs up the middle if they can burst past the linebackers and defensive line. Just cut up between those two safeties. We saw that against Nebraska. If there is one weakness in the Michigan defense, it is that, the middle of the field. But a lot of quarterbacks at the college level, that's a tough throw to make over the middle. It requires a lot of timing and anticipation. But Minnesota, with their quarterback situation, I'm not sure are going to be able to capitalize on that in this game.
Yeah, tough to fly the ball downfield. The air raid just not working out for the Golden Gophers. They're not even trying it. Instead,
it's not their game. They can't run it that way. I think when Tanner Morgan in 2019, when Minnesota under P.J. Fleck was kind of at the height of what they've done here in Minneapolis, Tanner Morgan was able to throw the ball deep to Rashad Bateman, able to throw the ball deep to Altman Bell when he was here. And Michigan just, Chris Altman Bell's been at Minnesota for 7 years. It's just ridiculous. And he's still got a year of eligibility left somehow. That's college football today.
COVID, the transfer portal, red shirts, you add it all together. You find a way to make all those years work out. That'll be Michigan's starting off on their own 33-yard line. So Wolverines' offensive line steps back out onto the field. A 14-point lead for Michigan midway through this second quarter. Roman Wilson moving laterally. McCarthy takes a snap, tosses to Donovan Edwards. Correction. Oh, he does toss to Donovan Edwards.
And, that wasn't much of a toss. That was more just a shot put pitch to him. McCarthy throws it like a chest pass in basketball. I'm going to use too many metaphors in this segment here. But nothing going on the outside. Michigan, I think, getting a little too cute at some points in this game.
Loss of 3 for the Wolverines, 2nd and 13. 18 seconds on the play clock, 7:19 in the quarter. McCarthy claps his hands once. Edwards to his left in the shotgun. 2 receivers each side. Here's the snap. McCarthy steps back. He'll throw, finds Edwards. This will be a first down and more as he's brought down at Michigan's own 45-yard line.
Now, I really like what Michigan did there. They clear out the middle of the field for Donovan Edwards to work on a check down route. You had Samaj Morgan and Fred Moore on the left side, 2 true freshmen, running kind of one of them running an in, and then the other one running a clear out to the boundary. I think those guys could have been open too if McCarthy held on to the ball. Just kind of a confusing set of routes, and we saw Tennessee last year run a lot of wide split, wide receiver routes and had success.
McCarthy in the pistol. 1st and 10 for Michigan. He'll take the snap, fakes the handoff to Edwards. Holds onto the ball, has a receiver open way downfield. This one is caught! Brought in at the 5-yard line, Cornelius Johnson. Michigan straight into the red zone.
That's what happens when you have a wide receiver as dangerous as Roman Wilson. Teams focus in on him, it leaves your other guys open. Johnson works on a post and gets deep, wide open.
Cornelius Johnson brings it in, Michigan in the red zone. McCarthy fakes the handoff to Edwards, runs to the near side. He's got a path into the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan!
The Wolverines just have so many weapons on offense. Roman Wilson's barely touched the football in this game. Blake Corum does have a long run and a touchdown, but McCarthy using his legs there. Cornelius Johnson deep. Who are you going to stop? Colston Loveland doesn't even have a catch today.
The Wolverines giving Minnesota a little bit of their own medicine, at least in the end zone with all these running plays. But how about that catch? McCarthy, a 50-yard pass, and he finds Cornelius Johnson with ease. It was a good catch, but Cornelius Johnson brought that one down, no question about it.
Now, if I do have a nitpick, it was a little underthrown by JJ. You want to put that ball out in front of Johnson. I think they're going to review this play for a touchdown. They're going to go to the booth on it. But that pass was a little bit underthrown. Luckily for JJ, the defensive back didn't come back and intercept it. But I want that pass out a little in front so Johnson can make a run into the end zone instead of just being tackled at the 5-yard line, and we wouldn't have to have a situation where JJ is his touchdown is being reviewed.
And JJ had time in the pocket there. That's what really allowed him to find Johnson so far downfield. You could hear fans calling for it, I think, before McCarthy saw him in the red zone. Referees step over to the review. DB Sport, Big Ten, their specific booth. We'll take another look on the video board. I think the question is more so just, did McCarthy get the ball within the plane? No doubt that he got the ball over the line. Just was he in or out of bounds? This one will be close.
No, I mean, like, I think what's being reviewed is if 24, who is out of bounds, touches JJ while he's in the air, and by rule JJ would also be out of bounds. That's Tariq Watson, the defensive back for Minnesota, who is just kind of turning over, and if he touches JJ's foot while Watson is out of bounds, JJ is also out of bounds. That, I think, is the ruling they're checking. And obviously, if JJ's out of bounds before the ball crosses the plane, it's not a touchdown.
William Gregory, like Gene Steratore, our rules analyst. Referee still taking a look at this one. The lead referee will take the headset off. We'll await the call. The ruling on the field will stand. Touchdown, Michigan, 23-3. Our score. We'll await the PAT. A James Turner for the extra point for Michigan. It's up and through the end, uprights. 24-3. Our score with 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the second quarter. So 2 minutes, 50 seconds in this media timeout. Michigan playing exceptionally well. You know, personally, William, I'd say they're really starting to shape up into second half form. They look like they've made adjustments mid-game to take advantages of the weakness in the Minnesota defense. Just your general thoughts on how things are going so far.
I mean, Minnesota's just outmatched. Michigan, well, I got to check the score of this Georgia game. They're playing Kentucky, who's a ranked team and undefeated, and how they dispatch them will temper my judgment. As Texas, the number 3 team in the country, lost. I'm not sure about Florida State, given what we've seen from LSU on defense. But, I mean, it's either Georgia or it's Michigan. It's the top 2 teams in the country. The offensive line for Michigan is coming to form. The defense has been there all year. But finally, Michigan's able to run effective offense. And it takes a little bit of time for a team bringing in a few offensive line transfers to gel, as Georgia's up 31-7 at home against Kentucky at halftime. It's these 2 teams, 1 and 2 in the top 25.
A little bit of background on the battle for the little brown jug. Michigan leads the all-time series 76-25, 3 ties. If you count that first game in 1903, that one a tie, 6-6. Fun fact about that game, Michigan led early. Minnesota marches back down the field. They score. There's still time left, but Minnesota fans celebrating that score rush the field. The referees call the game. In the chaos, Fielding Yost's managers leave the little brown jug on the sideline. Equipment manager Oscar, I can't remember his last name, of Minnesota, finds the jug, brings it to the athletic office, where the athletic director for the Golden Gophers paints it, calling it the Michigan Jug, left in 1903. They'd meet again in 1909 and have played for it ever since. 42 wins for Michigan in the last 46 matchups. Minnesota, they've won 3 times since 1985, all 3 of which happened in Ann Arbor. Their win in 1986 came against a team led at quarterback by Jim Harbaugh.
I think it's safe to say, as Michigan's up by 3 touchdowns,
the jug will stay in Ann Arbor.
Stay in Ann Arbor.
Now, a fun fact about this year is every once in a while, the columns on the jug fill up, and the winner decides where to paint the new columns. This is one of those years, so it looks like it'll be the Michigan Athletic Department deciding where the next win column goes. You know, can't show you a photo. The Wolverines kick off. Fair catch is called for at the 5-yard line. That's an interesting fair catch call, William. He had a lot of room to run.
Well, the fair catch on a kickoff in college football these days, the ball will be spotted at the 25. It's not going to be spotted inside the 10. So it's a bet kick returners will always place whether or not they'll be able to get to the 25 on any given play. If they don't think they will, then it's more beneficial to fair catch it or let it go out of the back of the end zone.
And that's a more recent rule change, correct?
Yes.
I feel like that's
it's
definitely
for players.
changed in
It's
my
for player
lifetime.
safety. It's to incentivize less kickoff returns.
So Minnesota will start at their own 25-yard line. Ethan Kaliakmanis looking to find some offensive production with 5 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the second quarter. He'll take the snap, moves back, looks to the near side. He'll find a receiver in Zach Evans. It'll be a first down for Minnesota as he comes down at the 39.
Pressure off the right side from Braden McGregor forces a throw from Kaliakmanis, and today we haven't seen him complete those passes, but he does here, and Zach Evans makes a nice move, breaks a tackle on Mike Sainristil, gets into the open field before Rod Moore and then Sainristil on a second effort, get him down.
And Kaliakmanis, we've talked about his weaknesses. That ball was low. If Evans was under pressure, he would not have brought that one in. Instead, a little bit of space, room to move. He could hold up, bring the ball in, and earn that first down. 38-yard line to start for the Golden Gophers. Kaliakmanis holds on to the ball. He won't gain anything, so he runs into problems.
I mean, the offensive line and pass protection for Minnesota, it's been rough sledding. Minnesota trying to play fake on that play, and I get why they're doing it. They just don't have enough time to do that. It's a catch-22 because they want to have Michigan think they're going to run the football, but they don't have enough time for the play action itself. Kaliakmanis pressured, works up in the pocket, no loss on the play.
2nd and 10 for Minnesota. 3 receivers, far side, 1 near side. Single back formation for the Golden Gophers. Kaliakmanis takes the snap, quickly hands the ball off. It's a gain of 5 on the play.
And that was a big hole on the right side for Evans. It closes very, very quickly, though. Josh Wallace and Makari Page making the tackle. But good blocking up front for Minnesota's right guard and right tackle Tyler Cooper and Quinn Carroll.
Zach Evans, the ball carrier. He actually gained 7 on the place. 3rd down and 3. A crucial conversion here for the Golden Gophers. Kaliakmanis stacking their receivers on the far side. Some lateral motion towards the left.
Unbalanced line to the left, extra tackle, timeout Minnesota, though.
Now, is this timeout due to their formation?
I don't think they were lined up right. So the shift before the play was to send the left tackle Quinn Carroll, the right tackle Quinn Carroll to the left side of the field so that you have 6 offensive linemen on the left. Now you'd assume on that play, given that it's 3rd and 3, they'd run the ball to the left side, or maybe run a play fake to that side, roll out right. I don't know. It depends on what they feel they should do on a particular play. But it is a formation. Michigan has run not an unbalanced line, but they do run 6 offensive linemen sometimes. We'll see if Minnesota comes back out in this formation. I don't think they will unless we see a shift. No, they're going to be in the gun 4 wide for Kaliakmanis.
So the Gophers take time to reset. Kaliakmanis, shotgun formation. He'll take the snap, quickly hands the ball off. Looks like it's all reliable Zach Evans again. Did he get the first down on 3rd and 3? Correction on the ball carrier is Bryce Williams.
And he didn't get the first down. It was a creative shift by Minnesota. The running back started on the right side of Kaliakmanis. He motions him over to the left. And that just sends the defensive line into a little bit of a questioning mode. Now 4th and 1, Minnesota's going to go for it.
Golden Gophers taking a risk, but down 21. They need this conversion. Timeout is called.
See what side it's for.
Looks to be Michigan.
Michigan. And a 4th down and 1 play that can result in an explosive gain. And on this play, Michigan looks like, or at least looked like now that the timeout has been called, they looked like they were going to send the house up the middle. And that's the type of situation where if you have no safeties back, you whiff on the tackle on the cover 0 blitz, you have your skill position player on the opposing side being able to get to open space and run wild. We see a lot of touchdowns down in the red zone if somebody goes for it on 4th and 1. They rip off a 20-yard gain and get it in the end zone. We saw that last week. Khalil Mullings for Michigan against Nebraska on 4th and 1 from the 19.
So Minnesota steps back out.
Now a shift. Interesting.
So quickly shift, stacking receivers far side, shotgun formation for Kaliakmanis. 15 seconds on the play clock. Here's the snap. Quick handoff. First down and more. Gain of 3 on the play for the Golden Gophers.
So this time they send Carroll from right tackle to the left side. It's an offensive line unbalanced formation with 3 offensive linemen to the left of the center instead of 2. They put a tight end on that side. That creates an advantage. They run in that direction with Williams and get the first down on 4th down.
Smart play call. PJ and the Golden Gophers. Single back formation now. Movement left to right. Kaliakmanis takes the snap, hands the ball off. No gain on the play.
And they're cycling Evans and Williams. This time it's Evans after we've seen mostly Williams on this drive. Jalen Harrell works on the backside to have the play result in no gain for the Gophers.
2nd down and 10 for Minnesota. Ethan Kaliakmanis. Shotgun formation with 3 receivers far side. He'll take the snap, hands it off quickly. Looks to be Bryce Williams carrying the ball. He'll gain 5 or 6 on the play.
And now Minnesota is changing it up a little bit on offense. Running a bit more to the outside, a bit more misdirection, catching Michigan off guard. And that's what you have to do if your opponent on defense solves one facet of your offense. You've got to give them another question to answer. Minnesota's done that. They're moving the ball effectively on this drive, but another 3rd down and short.
So 3rd and 3, a minute 15 before the half. Shotgun formation, 2 receivers each side for Minnesota. Here's the snap. Quick handoff again. This one goes nowhere.
Wrapped up, I think it'll be a 4th down and 2. I think he got about a half a yard on the play. Good effort by Michigan's interior defensive line, Kenny Grant and Rayshon Benny in on a tackle to avoid having the ball carrier stretch forward or be pushed towards the 1st down marker. And this will be a bit of a different play call for Minnesota, I think, on 4th down and 2 instead of 4th down and inches on the last series.
William, you're PJ Fleck right now. What are you going for?
Well, you've run the ball up the middle before. This is kind of like a batter-pitcher duel in baseball. It's like, I think I know you're doing this, Minnesota's going to call a timeout. They didn't put the offense on the field, I think. I don't really know what happened there. Minnesota fans it might have been the network stopping them. Final timeout of the half, 22 seconds left. Oh, they were letting the time go down so that Michigan can't get the ball back if they don't convert here. It's a smart call with 22 seconds left. The Minnesota fans didn't like it because they want as much time as possible to score. That kind of is a hedge of a bet. Minnesota could say, well, we're going to counter that and run the ball to the outside or call a pass on this play. And Michigan, as any reasonable person would say, well, you've run the ball every time. We'll see if a misdirection's coming. It's a long way to say that you could expect a run up the middle on this play to fake out Michigan from thinking they know what's going to happen.
A 4th and 2, network man on the field. A minute 40 left in this NBC Big Ten Saturday night.
Yeah, and where's his little clock?
We got the clock midfield on the ribbon banner.
Oh, well, normally they have the stick and the screen.
Yeah, Michigan Stadium. For those who haven't been to a home game yet this year.
Well, but they were doing it at Nebraska. They were doing it at.
I didn't see the clock in hand at Nebraska. I saw it on the screen. Certainly interesting because historically, Michigan used to put the clock on the screen. This year they shifted to a man on the field holding a clock. Now, other stadiums, we see the clock on the video board. Man on the field is just there to communicate with the network.
Now, this is what you love to talk about, talking about a little bit of video board. Little gopher cam. I mean, every stadium's got this play up their sleeve. Throw up the kids and hope to get on camera.
Try to look like Simba.
I'm
a fraud, actually, William. I've never seen The Lion King.
I don't really have a response. It figures. It always figures with you.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's never something you've ever said, and I'm like, that's weird. I wouldn't expect Owen to not have done that or have done that.
You know what? I watched half of The Lion King on
What?
VHS at my grandparents' back in like 2008, maybe.
Whatever.
Thanks to my Nan and Grampy for at least showing me that half. 4th and 2. Minnesota with the ball. 22 seconds until the half. The Golden Gophers let a little bit of time run to the boos of their fans. Kalakamanis in the shotgun. A tight offensive line with one receiver wide on the near side. They'll hand the ball off. Does he have what he needs? I think he does, William.
Yes, he's got the first down. They're going to spike the ball to stop the clock.
Minnesota spikes the ball. 13 seconds now on the clock. Their bet to run some time off perhaps not paying off. Only 13 seconds for this offense to look to cut down on this 21-point deficit to Michigan before the half.
Now, there's a few things on this drive that have changed Michigan's defensive statistical outlook. They only allowed one conversion on 4th down prior to the 2 they allowed in this game. The fewest in the country in red zone entries. Minnesota at the 35 knocking on that door. Really only a field goal with no timeouts unless they bust one big.
The scores as Daniel Jackson brings in a deep throw from Ethan Kalakamanis.
Minnesota has scored the most points all season against the Wolverines that they've allowed on a deep bomb to Daniel Jackson from Kalakamanis. Mike Sainristil still in coverage on the outside. He's traditionally a nickel corner. That's something that the NFL has wanted to see more from Sainristil still, playing him on the outside. He gets beat deep. And for the first time all season, Michigan is liable to allow double digits on this point after try.
Lined up. Here's the kick. Through the uprights. 24-10. Our score as we look towards the half.
Very surprising to end the half. Minnesota scored that touchdown in 15 seconds from the time they called that timeout. I don't know. On that play, Keon Sabb's got to play deeper. I don't know what he was seeing. He was the right safety to the side of the throw. Michigan was playing straight cover too, and Sabb, nobody's in his area, is not running deep to help out Sainristil. They're not playing deep enough. I don't know what they were expecting, a short throw. There's 15 seconds left, and Minnesota's got no timeouts. They either got to throw the ball out of bounds or throw the ball deep. So Michigan has had these breakdown in coverage in the passing game. Mike Sainristil's allowed a touchdown before, and I talked about it. It's the weakness of this defense is the downfield passing game.
In a drive where everything went right for the Golden Gophers, they run some time off the clock, convert on 4th and 2nd, and then launch one into the end zone. Minnesota finds itself down 2 touchdowns 6 seconds before halftime. Kick is up. It'll be a touchback. Michigan with 6 seconds on the clock will get the offense to work from their own 25-yard line.
Well, there's not going to be much to work with, I think. They're just going to kneel the ball and go to halftime, if I had to assume. Yeah, you've got a diamond backfield. Roman Wilson's going to line up behind McCarthy. Edwards in core. It's victory formation, even though they haven't won the game yet. They're going to take a knee and send us to halftime.
So 6 seconds on the clock. There's the snap. Ball is kneeled. Time will expire as both teams head to their respective locker rooms. And William, the energy has been pumped right back into Huntington Bank Stadium. The Minnesota faithful fired up as they've cut the lead to 2 touchdowns.
I mean, I've talked about it a lot. Minnesota on the drives they've gotten their offensive line to block well has ran well. And on that play, good pass protection. Michigan's pass rush finally stymied up front, and that allows Ethan Kaliakmanis to have enough time to throw deep. It's the first throw we've seen longer than maybe 15 yards from Kaliakmanis, and maybe that's why it caught the Michigan defense off guard. Now you're lucky you have a 14-point cushion. That pick six early has something to do with that. It could be 17-10 here at halftime. But I expect Michigan to put the hammer down in the second half until they prove me otherwise in that regard. If I was a Wolverine fan, I would not be worried.
Certainly nothing to worry about if you're a Michigan fan. I'd say that this is typical of the Jim Harbaugh-led Wolverines, perhaps a light scare or two. Last year, the only road trip I went on, Rutgers was leading Michigan at the half, and they came back to dominate in that second half. Not too much to worry about right now. 24-10, our score. But, God, it's been an exciting one here at Huntington Bank Stadium, and what a drive from Minnesota we just saw. P.J. Fleck hesitant to give that ball to Kaliakmanis all night, and he comes up huge when needed. William, we'll leave it to the band in just a moment. Your closing thoughts on this first half of play.
Clean up what you need to clean up on defense, Coach Minner and Coach Klink. Play a better gap scheme, run support. Cover deep. I mean, it's just kind of all season it's been so hard to diagnose Michigan besides be better at what you've kind of had some trouble with. It's like not a normal college football team, because in college football there's always something that's like a gaping weakness, but it's like sometimes you make a mistake, sometimes the offense beats you. Michigan is the second best, if not the best football team in the country.
At the half, Michigan 24, Minnesota 10. My partner is William Gregory. My name is Owen Crane. It is a privilege to call a historic rivalry like this one, the battle for the Little Brown Jug on WCBN Sports. Zach Linder and Kendall Spencer have continuing coverage after the half. For now, enjoy the Minnesota Marching Band.
we highlight 2 classic theme songs. First, we turn to the Spies of Mission Impossible, and then the enemy space cowboys of Cowboy Bebop. Let's see if this message self-destructs. 3, 2, 1, let's jam!
We can put USB in here, right? We can put this in. There's a way this. I don't know what it is. They have my one regular USB, then they have my like wireless mouse piece that they come in
What's up, buddy?
That's the thing, it cuts back out.
with this 2004 Mixar Classic and an important question. Where is my super suit? Hopefully Frozone can find it. Just make sure it doesn't have a cape. This is The Incredible.
against the Phoenix Cardinals.
I just tell him after the game what he did wrong.
Fans, it's time for the KSTP weather report. Let's check in with Chris Becker down in the student section.
Hi, everybody. I'm right next to Tomorrow's forecast will have about 57 degrees. Chance for a frost tomorrow night. And 100% chance the Gophers roll the ball over Michigan tonight. Let's go!
I'm Kendall Spencer. Joining me is Zach Linder, and we're going to bring you the second half live. Zach, how you feeling?
Feeling good here. Pretty good first half for Michigan, of course. Gave up that long touchdown pass at the end of the first half. 35-yard touchdown pass from Kalik Manis to Daniel Jackson. But up until that point, the Michigan defense had been dominant, especially the passing defense. This is a run-first Minnesota team, even more so than Michigan, who, of course, has their own running game going. And Minnesota, of course, you look at the first half, splitting the carries between Bryce Williams and Zach Evans. But on the passing game, Kalik Manis only 5 for 11, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. Of course, that pick six to start the game. And of those 52 yards, 35 came from that touchdown pass at the end. Up to that point, the Gophers' passing offense had not done anything. So Wolverines just hoping. They had the breakdown there, but they're up 14 going into halftime. They also will get the ball first to start the second half. They won the opening coin toss and deferred. So they just need to continue to control the ball, and then their defense needs to just continue to play well, especially against the pass, because Minnesota cannot rely on a run offense with this multiple score deficit. So if Michigan can continue to defend the pass here in the second half, they should have no problem putting this game away.
Absolutely. It almost feels just a little bit like a northern home game here on a getting to be pretty chilly Minnesota evening, night, whatever you'd like to call this. There's a lot of Michigan fans here. They want to come in and Huntington Bank and steal a win. Minnesota's not going to make it easy for the Wolverines. What do they need to do in this second half to really put
well regularly, as we haven't seen a lot of action from Donovan Edwards yet, just 2 carries for 11 yards, but Blake Corum, 7 carries for 60 yards, 1 touchdown. We did also see a rushing touchdown from J.J. McCarthy. That rushing offense is really going to allow strictly off the run, and especially facing this 14-point deficit, Michigan getting the ball first, Minnesota's going to have to find a passing offense if they really want any chance of coming back into this game.
Absolutely, and Goldie will row his little boat off the field. Up. Going to be caught at about the 5-yard line. We're going to go ahead and take it, running out right at the middle. They found a big hole, ending up right about the 26-yard line. And that's where Michigan offense will start this second half.
And as I said, I really expect here, probably first couple plays, we're going to see Michigan run the ball. Obviously, that sets up the play action, but with how well their running game works with this 14-point lead, I really just don't see any reason for them to come out throwing right away.
Absolutely.
Donovan Edwards out on the side. What Michigan doesn't want is incompletions, and they don't want risky plays. It's going to be mostly runs and those short, safe passes that keep the clock moving.
Once again, 2 running backs back there with McCarthy. Edwards motioning. JJ's going to launch one, though, and he's looking for Frederick Moore on that one. The freshman from St. Louis, Missouri. But good defense by the Golden Gophers sets up a 3rd down early. 3rd and 5 for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Moore actually had his step on the defender there. It was Justin Wally covering, but I think that ball just a little underthrown, which made it easier for Wally to break it up. Sometimes you see teams draw pass interference on those underthrown balls, but not there.
Michigan and empty. JJ's going to step back. Tries to find Donovan Edwards, but a low throw is completely out of his reach. And that's going to bring up a quick 3 and out for the Wolverines. Good defense coming in here.
And that was just a misfired pass right there. They had the look right there to pick up the first down. But even so, I personally just do not like throwing the ball 3 straight times there. I'm okay with the screen pass on first down. But with the running game that the Wolverines have, I think you have to at least give it a shot there. Only 43 seconds off the clock here in the 3rd, and Minnesota gets the ball back.
Absolutely. Strong punt. That's going to be fair caught at about the 25 as the Golden Gophers get ready with their field general, Ethan Kaliakmanis, who I think has got to be Greek. I don't know, but that's my personal thought. And because I like to clarify things, I'm going to say this right now. Wolverines are driving from left to right on your radio dial or computer screen. Let's be real honest here. Gophers going to set up from right to left. When I say far side of the field, I mean the right side of the field. When I say near side of the field, I mean left side of the field, because my brain can't compute directions when a play is happening. But now you know. Bit of miscommunication from the Gophers before they get things set up. They're going to hand the ball off for the first play of the game. Decent by Bryce Williams. Pick up a couple yards, run right up the gut. 3 yards.
This is what I think Michigan should have done. As I said, Minnesota's going to have to throw the ball. But I think just to start, go with what works, pick up 3 yards there, and they are staying on schedule now. Would not be surprised to see another run here, see if they can set up a 3rd and short where they could potentially try to pound the ball on the ground 3 straight times to pick up a new set of downs.
Bringing in their lighter back, that's Zach Evans. They're going to fake the handoff to him. Kaliakmanis is going to drop back to throw, but that's going to be tipped. No good. Knocked down by McGregor.
Yeah, as you take a look here, they go with the play action, but it looks like the pocket just kind of breaks down there and really just not giving him much of a chance to get a throw off. That was Chris Jenkins getting past the Minnesota offensive line, and now we have a 3rd and long here. Minnesota's going to have to throw the ball. It's Michigan looking to just play the sticks and get Minnesota's offense off the field.
3rd and 7 for the Golden Gophers. Kaliakmanis takes the snap himself. He's going to have to run for it, and it's not going to be enough as he dove or fell over about the 32-yard line.
And you can see Minnesota's pass protection is just not holding up against this Michigan defensive front. That's the 2nd straight play. Kaliakmanis just has not had enough time to get a good look. The last one had the pass deflected, now has to scramble. But on 3rd and 7, that's truly a desperation scramble. Only picks up 2 yards and a 3-and-out here for this Michigan defense.
Minnesota brings out the punt team as it's going to take a favorable Minnesota bounce. And there's some extracurriculars there after things are wrapped up. A little bit of pushing and shoving, but the Wolverines will take over with another chance to drive down the field.
Yeah, and as I said, for Minnesota's offense, it really is going to come down to can they get the passing attack going. And the numbers aren't great for Callie McManus, only 5 for 12. Most of his yards coming from that one long touchdown pass. He has only been sacked 1 time so far in this game, but both of those plays, it really was not his fault. There was just no pass protection. Just didn't give him a chance. Had the pass knocked away, and then 3rd and 7, no options. But that's really not a play as a quarterback you want to be scrambling unless you have a lane. He didn't there, but the options are either take off, make a risky throw, or he was going to get sacked. Now on this Michigan side, I really would expect to see them running the ball here. And as I said the last drive, you go with the play fakes, screen passes, quick slants. I don't have an issue with those. Of course, they take that shot on 2nd down, and that falls incomplete. That set them up where they had to throw on 3rd. Now, in fairness, the throw on that 3rd down play was just an inaccurate pass. It should have moved the sticks, but I really expect Michigan here to run the ball, especially because if nothing else, you at least burn more time. With 2 incompletions on that last drive, it was only 43 seconds that Michigan had taken off the clock. And in this situation, having this multi-score lead, taking time off the clock is arguably as important as anything their offense can do.
I completely agree. Michigan is known for its running offense. I mean, it's something, it's Blake Corum is a national name. He's such a talented back. Do you think there's a reason why they're hesitant with the run game right now, or are they just trying to get as many reps in on their passing game as possible?
I mean, I think obviously when you have a strong running game, part of what you're looking to do is set up the play action game, and so they're trying to take advantage of that. And of course, not getting too predictable. The other thing we've seen is, I think there is a big focus on the Michigan side of balancing the offensive attack. Of course, we saw what happened in the TCU playoff game last year when they had to throw, when they fell behind early and they just weren't able to come through. So I think more than anything else, they want to have a balanced attack. And up 14 early 3rd quarter is not a time where you can just completely sit back. So I think it's that as much as anything else. I don't think it was necessarily by design they threw 3 straight times, but they are trying to balance the run and pass.
Corum in shotgun. Hand the ball off to Corum. He'll run up the middle. Pinball around a couple of Minnesota defenders for a gain of 3 yards. And like you mentioned, heading straight to that run game early here.
Yeah, no trickery either. Just a simple run up the middle. You get 3 yards. Obviously, you'd like to have 4, just so you're really staying ahead of the sticks. But I think that's the move right there, as you're at least going to take 40 seconds off the clock, or close to it if nothing else. It looks like we now have an injured Gopher. Looks like Jack Henderson.
There is an injured player on that play. Both teams are going to step aside, take a moment to huddle while they see what's going on down there. Chilly night here. We are currently outside, which is a very cool experience, as we're right in the action, just above the stands. People can walk around. Our good buddy Owen Crane has been having conversations with every Michigan fan that passes by us, which is not surprising. He's just that type of guy.
Yeah,
it's a little cold.
48 degrees right now. Wind is low. We had seen as the cold front had come in a couple days ago, it had been a lot windier, which of course makes it feel even colder. But the wind has died down a little. You see very little wind right now. The flags on the goalpost, really not blowing at all.
Well, Zach, the last time I was here, it was about -10 degrees, and I was miserable. So if I keep complaining about the weather, just please feel free to gently remind me that it could be 50 degrees worse. That was for the Winter Classic 2022, where the state of Minnesota took another loss. As at this point, it looks like they're going to be taking a loss today. Knock on wood, though. I am very superstitious.
Looks like they're finally about ready to get Henderson up. Did take immediate timeout here as well. I think they started it late.
Yeah, he is able to get up on his own accord, which is always good to see. Holding his arm to his chest. Hopefully it's nothing serious and that he'll be all right.
And I think now if you're Michigan, I think you're either running it or you're going play action. But I think if you go play action, you really have to look at shorter, safer passes, because I understand they want to develop the offense and they want to take those big shots. It's something they're going to need to be able to do, especially when they get into those final few weeks and the schedule really toughens up. But I just don't think up 14 in the third quarter of a Big Ten road game is the time you do that. Obviously, if you have a look, like a clear look, you take it. But I think you're really looking more than just a receiver having a step on a defender. I think it's got to almost be like 4 or 5 steps before you really say, okay, J.J. McCarthy, make that throw. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be in the area. We saw he had taken that shot earlier on that last drive, and I think his receiver had a step. It was Frederick Moore he was throwing to, had maybe 1 or 2 steps, but that still requires a really good throw. He ended up underthrowing it, and at that point it becomes an easy breakup.
Couple underthrows from JJ so far in this game, especially to start the third quarter. Nothing to overreact about, as many football fans are prone to doing.
Yeah, and of course, J.J. McCarthy has definitely looked much improved as a passer so far. Obviously, the schedule not particularly tough. He did have that one the game against Bowling Green, some concerning signs, threw 3 interceptions. Other than that, does not have any interceptions on the season, other than that one game. So really encouraging signs from him. And I think that is why Michigan is more comfortable throwing the ball now than I think they would have been last year. I just think in this situation, just run the ball as long as it's going to work.
He's treated every game since as a prove-it game, as once again, Michigan will line up in the shotgun. Looks to be Edwards this time. Jay's going to drop back to throw it. Bit of pressure, and it's going to be over the hands of Corum, as the Minnesota defense rushing in is going to force him to make a hasty throw that sails way above Corum's head and had a chance to be picked off if there was a Minnesota defender in the right place.
Yeah, and I think this is where you really want to have quicker throws, just so you don't have to worry about pressure from the Minnesota front that's causing those inaccurate throws.
3rd and 7. Edwards in the shotgun. And there's miscommunication. JJ can't hear. Ball is snapped, dropping back to throw again. He's gonna find Roman Wilson over the right side of the field for a Michigan first down.
Yeah, and that's a good play right there. Still facing pressure. So it looks like that was Max Grant or Ryan Seelig coming in with the pressure there, but they're able to get that accurate pass. And when the pass is good, they have the look right there. Roman Wilson right there, easy first down.
Minnesota's defensive line has been getting in on McCarthy on this drive. Corum moving around back there. They're going to fake the handoff, but there's whistles blowing on that play, and it won't develop.
And I think Michigan called a timeout there. I think they could have gotten the play off. You do normally get that extra second to get the snap off anyway, because the back judge has to watch the clock, the play clock expire first. But Jim Harbaugh, not taking chances from the sideline, took a timeout there for Michigan.
Michigan has struggled a little bit throughout the season with those nearly delay of game plays. Is that something to be concerned about, or am I just hyper aware of those?
I haven't noticed anything particularly concerning so far with this Wolverines team. Now, it is their only their second road game of the year, and I don't think it's a particularly loud venue. They shouldn't have to run silent counts all game, maybe on third downs. Shouldn't really be an issue on first down, though.
1st and 10. Corum to JJ's right hand again. They fake the handoff again. McCarthy's got time, and he's got Wilson wide open on the far side of the field, going to 30, 25. As the Wolverines will get a big gain on a great throw by JJ McCarthy. And they're on Minnesota's 25.
Yeah, that's what I had said there. Roman Wilson running a post there, and he's got wide open space in the middle of the field. This isn't just beating a guy by a step. And when that's the case, JJ doesn't need to make a perfect throw. He can just toss the ball a little softer into the area, and it becomes an easy big gain. Those are the types of passing plays that Michigan wants to see.
He had all kinds of time on that one. They're going to hand the ball off to Corum, running on the right side. He's going to make a guy miss, knock him over, 19-yard line. Little show of dominance there by Corum as he shoved his defender to the ground. 2nd and 4 on the Minnesota 18.
Yeah, that's good yards after contact right there. It looked like the tackle could have occurred at about the 22-yard line. Gets down to the 18 instead, and that's just part of what makes Blake Corum so good, able to fight for those extra yards. Huge difference between 2nd and 4 versus 2nd and 8.
Big boy play by the Michigan running back, as he'll be at JJ's left hand. And they'll fake the handoff. JJ's got Colston Loveland, but he's jostled a little bit, and the ball will get knocked, just can't hold on. Great throw over the middle, but some Michigan defensive backs got in, knocked him as the ball reached his hands.
Yeah, Tyler Newman in for Minnesota with the knockout, but still a ball that I think should have been caught. Missed opportunity there for the Wolverines to put 6 on the board. Now coming up here with this 3rd down.
Might not be a problem today, but that's a mistake you cannot make basically any week after this. 3rd and 4. And they're going to hand the ball off. And he's going to get tripped up by Kalel Mullings at about the 9-yard line. Pick up a Michigan 1st down.
Yeah, Mullings had,
bringing in the big senior for that one.
Yeah, that's Mullings' first carry of the game. Did not carry the ball at all in the first half. Did have 1 reception. But that's what the Wolverines are able to do. 3rd and 4, not a typical running situation, but Michigan's rushing attack is good enough.
They're going to give it to Mullings again. He's going to push forward, pickup of about 1. 2. I was wrong. I've never gotten those right. It's my goal. Once again, by the end of this broadcast, I'll correctly predict a gain. 2nd and 7.
Yeah, sticking with Mullings there on back-to-back plays, and again, just continuing to run the ball. Mullings out there for a 3rd straight play. Would not be surprised to see them hand it off to him again.
Mullings in there again on this 2nd down. But they fake the handoff, and JJ's got it. He's going to run it himself, and he's going to make it into the end zone. Michigan, touchdown. JJ McCarthy took it himself to put the Wolverines up 30-10.
That's part of what makes JJ McCarthy so valuable. Going with the read option there, fakes the handoff, and McCarthy we saw even last year when he struggled at times as a passer, can run the ball very well, giving the Wolverines even more rushing threats. And Michigan now gets back that touchdown they gave up at the end of the first half and takes a 3-score lead.
James Turner, the extra point, is good. And the Wolverines will go up by 3 touchdowns or 7 field goals, depending on what you prefer. It's 31-10 with 8:28 remaining in the third quarter.
Yeah, really good balance there on that drive. Michigan still not afraid to throw the ball, and obviously that makes the running game more effective. I think the big things when Michigan is going to throw, they, one, need to get quicker passes, because that's an easy way to defeat pressure and make throws easier on JJ. And then the other thing really is the pass protection, because we've seen when Minnesota's defensive line starts to break through the Michigan front, that's when JJ starts making those inaccurate throws. When he has a stable pocket, that's when he's accurate. And then receivers getting more space to the point where McCarthy doesn't have to throw perfectly. Another huge help that makes it a lot easier to get those explosive plays through the air.
Absolutely. Gophers took big momentum swing by getting that long touchdown to end the first half. Wolverines come back, kick them in the teeth a little bit with an excellent run by J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, we saw this stadium pretty full in the first half, of course. A lot of Michigan fans, but the student section particularly in the end zone on our right side starting to thin out a bit on top, especially as Michigan really does have all the momentum. Now, Minnesota, of course, had that unexpected touchdown at the end of the first half in a situation where I thought they had managed the clock too conservatively for being down 3 scores, and then they made it a moot point with that long pass to the end zone. But feels like Michigan really has seized momentum. Minnesota had a chance when Michigan went 3 and out to start the second half, but then Minnesota returned it with a 3 and out of their own, and Michigan now with this 21-point lead.
Giving you a little Sweet Caroline here at Huntington Bank Stadium. Yeah, like you mentioned, this is a decent travel game, as I've seen a lot of blue in the stands. We obviously made the trip. It took us about, I don't know, grand total of 12 hours in the car, but we hit some viscerally nasty Chicago traffic.
On a Friday night, no less. Not a particularly good time to drive in the Chicago area.
No, we did that to ourselves, but compared to some other games, especially next year, this isn't too far for the Wolverine faithful to make it out. I'm very interested, I must admit, to see what it's going to start looking like at Big Ten West Coast matchups.
Yeah, we know Michigan with a pretty favorable travel schedule next year, except that trip to Washington. That will be a long one, and one that this station will definitely have to fly out to.
Absolutely. No cars. That's a sicko car ride. As Michigan will kick it away, gonna be fair caught at about the 4-yard line by Sean Tyler. And it'll be back up to Kaliak Manis to try and keep his team in this one.
And I understand the fair catch there. Obviously, there's a lot more that can go wrong than can go right on a kick return, but I start to wonder in this type of situation when it doesn't make it back to the end zone, do you just take a chance for a big play? Because Minnesota's going to need some miracles to get back into this game.
I'm sure we'll see pretty soon if they're going to start risking it. Motioning across. Kagman's going to hand it off to Evans, who's going to find a hole up the middle. Pick up about 7. 6. One day I'll get it. 2nd and 4.
Yeah, and these are the types of running plays Minnesota's going to need. It's not like they have to go to a tempo offense. We're less than halfway through the third quarter. But they're going to need more than kind of that 3 to 4. That's what you can take in a more competitive game. But here, if they really want to run the offense on the ground, they're going to need those chunk plays that allow them to move the ball down the field a little quicker.
Kaliakmanis going to take it himself. Drop back pressure coming in. There's a flag thrown. He's going to launch one, and someone on the Michigan sideline is going to catch that. Does not count as we wait to see what the flag on the play was.
And I have to imagine in the backfield at the Minnesota 24-yard line, probably going to be an offensive holding call.
And you're exactly right. Offensive holding is, there was a Michigan defender coming in like a rocket ship for Kaliakmanis before falling inconspicuously. Get a little zoom on the hold there. Oh, and that was about 2 seconds away from a Derek Moore sack.
Yeah, he just completely had the defender grabbed on that right shoulder, it looked like. Pretty easy call. Now knocks Minnesota back to a 2nd and 14 instead of a 3rd and manageable.
2nd and 14. Evans in the shotgun. Kaliakmanis had Daniel Jackson wide open, but just threw it a bit short, had to dive for it, and it's no good, and that's going to bring up 3rd and 14. Ball on Minnesota's 21. What do you think the Gophers should do here?
I mean, I think at this point they have to try something a little more aggressive. I'm not just taking a 5-yard check down and punting when you're down 3 scores. And I know, like, right there, that's a play they should have connected. It would have made it about a 3rd and 5. Makes it a lot harder here, but I really think you have to throw it past the sticks just with the deficit you have.
Kaliakmanis dropping back. And he's going to try and take it himself, but he is wrapped up by Mason Graham for the sack. 4th and 22, as there was no hope for Kaliakmanis on that one. He got maybe 1 step, and Graham was there to greet him.
This is just part of what makes this Michigan defense so good. I mean, this is the first game all year they've given up more than 7 points. Of course, they have not allowed a single point in the 3rd quarter. And that pressure up front is just making it so hard on Kaliakmanis.
Ball's going to be caught at Michigan's 45. Not an excellent punt there. 6-yard return. Michigan's going to start on Minnesota's 49. Excellent field position for the Wolverines.
Yeah, what happens right there, you have that inaccurate pass that turns what should be about a 3rd and 5 or less into a 3rd and 14, and then you have that sack, and all of a sudden it becomes a huge field position flip. Now, with Michigan taking possession over on Minnesota's side of the field, they complete that 2nd down pass. Even if, say, they throw an incompletion on 3rd, Michigan's probably starting with the ball potentially back behind their own 30. Instead, they have advantageous field position. They only need 1 or 2 first downs to be right back in field goal range with a chance to pad this lead even further.
52,179 people in the stands tonight, and that is a half-empty Big House.
Yeah, size of this stadium not quite comparing to Michigan. I don't think Minnesota would be able to fill a 107,000 seat stadium, but a pretty good turnout here. Of course, a lot of maize and blue, but then again, it can be hard to distinguish, especially across the field, between Minnesota gold and Michigan maize.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell the difference. I definitely cannot. On that last sack, I've been informed, I think I was looking at my chart, Mason Graham did row the boat after that last sack. I think it's hilarious. I think if any team has like a specific celebration or any player, you are just asking to get it done in your face. And I'm not a fan of rowing the boat, so I did find it a little hilarious. As Owen Crane is just walking off into the distance. I have no clue where he's going. He's just running into the stands right now. Long media timeout. We've had quite a bit of these.
About 2.5 to 3 minutes, depending on the specific network and situation. But teams coming back out. We have about 20 seconds left. And Michigan again starting on the Minnesota side of the field. So we'll see how they play this. Do they go with the run? Do they take a deep shot early? Do they go with play action? The one thing the Michigan offense has been very good with is being unpredictable. And that is part of what makes this rushing game so effective.
I think we need to get the tight ends involved more, but I always think that. Edwards in the shotgun. McCarthy going to drop back. He's got all kinds of time. Finds Edwards for a shallow pass on the far side. Right about the tops of the M. About a 7-yard gain. 2nd and 3.
And again, I don't know if that was necessarily his primary read there, but nothing wrong with that at all with this situation. A lot of space around Donovan Edwards. Easy 7-yard pickup, staying well ahead of schedule.
They'll go with the same formation, but some crossing motion as there's going to be what could have been a very excellent pickup. Unfortunately, Samaj Morgan running all the way from the right side of the field to the left for a quick pass from McCarthy. Could have been a big gain. Great play. Morgan just tripped up a little bit on that. 1st and 10. Michigan.
Yeah, still an 8-yard pickup. Again, Michigan getting a little more creative with the offense, but remaining effective, and that's now 15 yards they've picked up on 2 plays. Continuing to move the sticks, bleed time off the clock as we have 5.5 minutes left here in this 3rd quarter.
They're going to hand that off to Edwards. He's going to trip up the field. About 5. Yes, 2nd and 5.
And it looks like we're going to have another Minnesota player briefly injured, caused a stoppage of the clock, but he's already off the field.
And so we'll get to hurry this thing up a bit, or we won't. It's got to come in and talk. Edwards the back next to McCarthy. He's going to bully his way through a couple defenders. Not quite enough. 4-yard gain. Brings up 3rd and 1.
Yeah, this is the type of offense that I thought Michigan should have been running back from the start of the 2nd half. You have 4 plays. You have a quick check down to the halfback. You have a jet sweep. Now back-to-back runs, 3rd and 1. Again, they could go play fake, but when you have two downs to get 1 yard, I don't see any reason you don't just run it up the middle right here, even out of shotgun.
There's going to be a timeout.
And I don't know what the coaching staff didn't like that they saw. There were still 5 seconds left on the play clock as Michigan burns their 2nd timeout. So I don't think it was a play clock issue. And I wonder, as the ref is talking to Harbaugh, I wonder if they're going to challenge.
Would not be surprised.
And yes, they are going to be challenging the spot ruling of short of 1st down. I guess whoever was taking a look at the replay upstairs saw something. Of course, in college football, very few coaches challenges, and there is no red flag. They simply call a timeout to stop the game and then ask for the review. That timeout will be reinstated if they win the challenge. And the fact that it's only 3rd down makes me think they really saw something pretty obvious. Of course, the replay official didn't see anything that warranted stopping the game to take a look at this. And it's an interesting situation because I honestly don't mind the 3rd and 1 in this type of game. Very high confidence Michigan would pick it up, and then that, if anything, just allows them to run more time off the clock. But obviously there is a little risk to that. But again, to me, this is a challenge you can only make if you're certain you're going to win it. Otherwise, I just don't see enough upside to justify taking the chance. Even though with a 21-point lead, you probably don't need the timeout.
And the ruling on the field stands. It'll still be 3rd and 1, and we'll just get this 3rd down play about a minute later.
Yeah, and again, we didn't see any replays here, so I don't know exactly what they were looking at, but I just don't really think that's a necessary challenge by the Wolverines. I get you probably don't need that timeout. You're probably not going to need that challenge, but still a little perplexed there.
One wide receiver on the right side, but they're going to hand the ball off to Mullings. And it's going to be too close for me to call from all the way up here. And it is a Michigan first down.
Yeah, and Minnesota stacking the box against a shotgun formation for Michigan, but just still not enough there for the Gophers defense. Michigan picking it up, keeping that clock rolling.
Just over 3.5 in the 3rd quarter. Mullings will stay in. 2 wide receivers on the left side. 1 on the right. McCarthy has got Loveland wide open for a Michigan touchdown. Redemption for that earlier bobble, and that'll put the Wolverines up 37-10. That was a pretty good sequence.
There is a flag back at the 29-yard line.
This is anti-tight end. It's big wide receiver. That's what this flag is. Roughing the passer was that flag. They're going to. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
So we take a look right here. Michigan gets the touchdown.
That was a pass to Colson Loveland.
I don't really see why that's a foul as we take a look at the replay. Maybe there was a little bit of a push at the end. I don't know if that's what was called.
A lot of noise as Turner's extra point is good, 38-10.
But it's a weird flag because the flag was near the sideline and McCarthy was in the middle of the field. I mean, it's not overly consequential. Michigan's probably just going to kick a touchback anyway. Crowd didn't like it, and we see the crowd continuing to thin out, especially in the student section, as Michigan now really taking control. And that's just the separation that we want to see from Michigan receivers. Because as much as J.J. McCarthy has improved as a passer this year, he just can't be expected to make perfect throws every time. It's going to be in large part on the offensive line to hold the pocket so that he's not scrambling constantly, and then receivers to get space so that McCarthy just has to make good throws and not perfect throws. That's what we saw right there. Results in easy touchdown and no risk of a knockout there because there was no Gopher defender close to Loveland there.
And that was a good throw by McCarthy, who had Loveland streaming down the sideline on the right-hand side. Waltzed into the Michigan end zone. Minnesota end zone. One of the end zones. I'm a little tired. A little squib kick there by the Wolverines, and the big guy is going to end up taking it, falling on his butt about the 22.
Well, Michigan there trying to take the fair catch out of play. They had the kickoff from midfield. And I think the crowd may have wanted a flag maybe for a late hit on a guy who had given himself up. Didn't see anything too much there. All told, it's going to be about a 3-yard net gain compared to a touchback for the Wolverines.
I think that was Carter Shaw, if my number identification serves correctly, who didn't so much as slide as fell. But I digress. They're going to snap it straight to Kaliakmanis before handing it off to Evans. Going to run up the center left. Pick of about 4.
Yeah, this is a situation for Minnesota. You're not winning this game on the ground, but at this point, they just need to see some sort of sustained offense. Had that drive at the end of the first half, even playing it conservatively, they got in the end zone with that 35-yard touchdown pass. But other than that, their offense has just not been able to move the ball consistently all game. Now, that is mostly because they really only have a ground game.
Kaliakmanis taking it directly from the center again. Handing it off to Evans, who's going to run into a little bit of a wall. Pick up maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, this is a situation now. Michigan's defense just doing what they have to do. 2 plays on the ground. And now Minnesota really going to have no choice but to throw the ball. I cannot tell if they've spotted the ball. Looks like it will be on the 25, so no gain there. 3 yards on 1 play is okay, but 3 yards on 2 plays isn't. 3rd and 7 really just doesn't leave them with any other choice but to throw the ball.
Kaliakmanis back. He's going to drop back to pass, and it's picked off! It's picked off by, and they're going to find their way all the way into the end zone, as that is a pick 6 by Keon Sabb. Kaliakmanis had dropped back to pass with a couple Michigan defenders streaming at him like a missile. And his throw lands right in the line of sight of Sabb, who will take it himself up the right-hand side and put that nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's 2 pick sixes now for this Michigan defense. Both really were just bad passes by Kaliakmanis and opportunistic play by this Wolverine secondary.
Extra point is good, 45-10. And we've got another quarter to go, folks.
Yeah, figure you'll probably see the backups coming in on both sides in the 4th. But I think you look at this Minnesota team, and Nathan Kaliakmanis really was the big question. Their offense had become pretty stable under Tanner Morgan, never really developed the way they were hoping after that 2019 season when Minnesota finished 11-2, beat Auburn in the Outback Bowl. But he at least, and I know quarterbacks don't want to be characterized like this, but he was a good game manager and did enough with the ground game they had to stabilize the Minnesota offense. Now they're looking for a little more explosive play by Kaliakmanis, but he just has not shown that so far. He, in the second half so far, 0 for 5, with now that pick 6, also been sacked once. Minnesota just not doing anything on offense here in this 3rd quarter, a quarter in which Michigan has now outscored the opposition 70-0.
Ball will be fair caught as it trickles into the end zone, and once again, that pick 6. It's Keon Sabb, the sophomore from Glassboro, New Jersey.
All right, I apologize. The number is actually set. Yeah, 76-0 is the.
They're going to hand it off to Evans up the right-hand side. Gain of 1. 2nd and 9. Minnesota's 26. And they didn't get much further than this on their previous drive before it was taken by Sabb. as there is another injured Golden Gopher on the play.
Yeah, I believe that's Zach Evans who's down on that play.
What's the difference between a regular Gopher and a Golden Gopher? I will never know. Is it like the fur? Is it gilded? They don't explain that. I also don't know what ski-u-ma means.
Yeah, I am not personally well versed on gophers, but we see a number of teams with a mascot with something golden. Just sounds a little fancier, I think.
Yeah, you really got to class up the Gopher. Sean Tyler's the back. This time for the Golden Gophers, another 1-yard gain. Different man, same story. We've got another 3rd and long for the Gophers offense. I've heard that they approve of just the Gophers. I will be saying that. It's quicker.
Yeah, this Michigan defense has held up well against a Minnesota rushing offense that averages significant yardage, 193 yards on the ground per game, only 77 here as we have half a minute left in the third.
Kaliakmanis launches one just over the hands of Brevin Spanford, the 6'7", 270 tight end out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. I'm sorry that sounded so incredulous. That's a big boy.
Yeah, and I don't think that was a bad look necessarily, but I think the pass was too quick. He threw a bullet pass to a receiver who just was not ready for it. He had a couple steps on the defender. I think it was just too quick of a pass.
Michigan will get the punt at their own 30-yard line. 25 seconds left in the third quarter.
And J.J. McCarthy is not coming out here. Looks like it's going to be Jack Tuttle who will be taking the snaps now for Michigan as they continue to have that rotation of backup quarterbacks. And they like these types of games where they have an opportunity to showcase them, in this case before the third quarter ends.
As you mentioned, it'll be Tuttle, but they're going to hand the ball off. Tuttle to Mullins.
Yeah, wondering if we're going to see more of Mullins, as it looks like Michigan's going to let the third quarter expire here. In this fourth quarter in particular, obviously we know what Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum can both do, but just don't really see a reason to expose them to potential injuries on the field here in this fourth quarter, with this game now well in hand as Michigan continues that dominance in the third quarter, outscoring Minnesota 21-0, and taking a game that Michigan had control of, but not complete dominance, and really putting it away here. 3 touchdowns culminated by that pick 6 to wrap it up.
They were just showing the Gopher from Caddyshack doing his little dance. My father loves this movie. I don't get it. I have to be really honest. I don't get it. As we head into the final 15 minutes of this contest. 45-10.
As we take a look at scores around the league, you have Colorado tied with Arizona State 24-24. 50 seconds left in regulation as Arizona State just tied the game with a 15-yard touchdown pass from Trenton Bourguet to Troy O'Meara. That's a game that I think if you want to really see that development from Colorado under Deion Sanders after a couple rough losses, to me they have to win that one against an inferior opponent in Arizona State. Georgia up 44-13 over undefeated Kentucky. Little surprise there with how Georgia struggled to really dominate at times. Most interesting score maybe, Louisville 5-0 but ranked 25th, up 17-13 over Notre Dame. We saw Notre Dame struggle a bit on the road against an undefeated ACC fellow in Duke last week, but managed to pull it off. Louisville has the ball. They'll look to take control of that game. Fresno State, currently the only non-Power 5 school to be ranked at number 24, trailing 24-10 against a surprisingly solid Wyoming team that's 4-1 on the year, including a season-opening win over Texas Tech. We saw earlier today Oklahoma winning the Red River rivalry against Texas 34-30 in a game that very well could jump Oklahoma into the top 5 in the rankings. Ohio State continued their dominance after struggling a bit early against Maryland, winning that one 37-17. Missouri's undefeated run ended with a 49-39 loss to LSU. Then Alabama struggled a bit against Texas A&M, but they came out with a 26-20 win. So we've seen a number of high-ranked teams struggle a bit today, but the only one to go down so far in the top 10 was number 3 Texas. And of course a difficult game that was extremely influential both in how the Big 12 unfolds, although you could very well see those two teams rematching come Conference Championship Week. And then also in playoff odds, I had seen a number that the winning team was going to go up to 70% to make the college football playoff, losing team down to less than 30. Texas could still get in if they run the table, but they cannot afford any more losses at this point, as we're now just about set here to begin the fourth as the teams flip sides. Michigan with the ball up 45-10.
Every time somebody says Texas is back, it gets worse on purpose. Tuttle's going to take the snap directly from the center. Mullings in the backfield. Hand off to Mullings. He's going to find a gap and do a fun little spin move. He's on his feet still somehow. And he's going to pick up a first down on that. What an effort play by Mullings there. He did a complete 360. Someone hit him, and he landed on his feet.
Yeah, strong run there for Mullings. And this is really important, obviously. Wolverines expecting to lose Blake Corum to the draft after the season. Thought they might lose him after last year. So to see what other options they have at running back really will be important going forward.
Pass outside. Quick to Samaj Morgan. Tries to put the moves on, doesn't really fall for it. Pickup of 5. And the Wolverines are about to cross midfield. Even without McCarthy in. Mullings at Tuttle's right-hand side. They're going to hand it off to Mullings. He's got wide open field. He's got to make one guy miss. Grabs the leg, tripped up at the 30, but a big gain by Mullings up the middle. For Michigan, first down, and we're just 9 yards away from the red zone.
And I had wondered if we were going to be seeing more carries from Mullings here in this fourth quarter. So far, he's been on the field all 3 snaps. He's gotten 2 carries, and the big hitter right there, pushing the ball all the way down to the 29-yard line.
They had been using Mullings in a third down specialist role, but opening up a lot of space for him today. Hand off to Mullings again. Nothing doing on that one. Either going to be actually a loss of 1 yard.
Yeah, but that's a situation to me. You have to keep going with it until it doesn't work. Obviously, you see there, loss of a yard. Still a clear threat for Mullings to run. You might do it out of a little bit of surprise, Minnesota perhaps expecting a pass, but I still think you potentially have to look to the play-action game because Minnesota still has to protect against the run. with what's happened all drive, even after the last play.
Tuttle's going to take it this time. Throw into the hands of A.J. Barner, the tight end. He's going to knock around a couple guys, do a spin move of his own. That's a 17-yard gain as the big man made a couple guys miss. Took two men to take him down on that one. 1st and 10 on Minnesota's 13-yard line.
And not making Tuttle do anything difficult here, just using run after catch to keep moving the ball.
Hand off to Mullings. He's got space on the left-hand side. There's a flag coming in as finally 3 guys drag him down. That flag came in from the right-hand side. The ref there. Offensive holding. That was Max Bredesen, the tight end. Going real tight end heavy here for Tuttle.
Yeah, just a complete takedown right there. Just completely took down Devin Williams. Easy call there. And now backs Michigan up with a 1st and 20 back at the 23-yard line. Knocks them out of the red zone.
Well, tight ends have never done anything wrong in their life. I don't believe it. Tuttle setting up again. This time it's going to be, I'm going to be honest, I cannot see that far number. Handoff up the middle for a gain of about 2. That was Franklin, who is not on my roster. The only 31 I've got on here is a defensive back. My apologies. He's literally just not in our official roster that was given to us.
Yeah, not a bad gain there, except you want the 4 yards to be on 1st and 10, not 1st and 20. Michigan's still well behind the sticks.
They're going to hand it off again. Franklin tries to make something out of nothing, but it's going to bring up 3rd and long. 3rd and 17, loss of 1 on that play.
Yeah, normally in this situation, on a 3rd and so long, in field goal range, I'd be okay with maybe doing a halfback draw, taking the 3 points. But in this situation, I'd rather see them throw the ball.
Oh, yeah, I want
just
them to
see
launch
what
one.
Tuttle's able to do. Worst case scenario, you throw an interception. You're not going to lose the game because of it, but still see, is Tuttle able to make a smart choice with pressure on him? Empty backfield, they're going to let him throw here.
Couple big boys in there. Tuttle taking too long. He's going to have to take it himself, and he's wide open. They can't catch him. He's at the 10-yard line. On the left-hand side, he's going to score?
I think he went out just
Yeah,
outside the
looks
pylon.
like
I think he did pick up the 1st down, though. Don't know exactly where they're going to
Oh, he got the 1st down. But that's going to be a 1st and 2. As Tuttle, pressure coming in. He doesn't panic. He takes it himself, and he's just faster. Push on the 2-yard line. Arms up. Barner's excited. And that's going to be a Michigan touchdown. Number 31, Franklin, who I don't even have this man's first name. And I feel really bad about it.
Yeah, Leon Franklin right there, getting 3 straight carries. Obviously, you have that Tuttle scramble, which I did not think he was going to get in. Looked like a broken play there, but just able to scramble, and then Leon Franklin comes in. And wasn't sure if he got in, but just powered his way through and bringing another running back into the action because, as I said, obviously they're looking at their quarterback options. J.J. McCarthy potentially leaving for the draft after this year, but they have to know their running back options as well. And so far, very encouraging signs here this evening on both fronts.
The extra point is good. 52-10 is the score here in Minneapolis, and we've still got 9 minutes of football. But also, like you mentioned, wait a second. Leon Franklin. Okay. He is listed as number 34, both on Michigan's official website and our roster. I apologize for the confusion. Is he wearing 31?
He is wearing 31.
He is wearing 31, so there must have been a number change. And we don't have the updated information. Unfortunate.
Yeah, this is now the most points Michigan has scored in a game. Of course, we saw those first 4 games scored 30, 35, 31, 31, as it felt like Michigan wasn't dominating per se, but they were still controlling. Then we saw them just break out against Nebraska with a 45-7 win, gave up a long touchdown run late that prevented a shutout, and then here in Minnesota was a little tight at halftime just after Minnesota got that late touchdown to bring it back to 2 scores, scoring more points in the first half than Michigan's given up all season. But Michigan now breaking away with a 28-0 scoring differential here in the fourth quarter,
and
putting up 52.
Is getting desolate in Huntington Bank Stadium. This was, it was not a full house, but there was quite a few people here. And I'm looking out at a sea of bleachers right now. But it's cold, and it's late, and if my team was losing by 42, I cannot say I would be here either.
The stadium very full for the first half. Felt like the student session thinned out a little, but that's to be expected, probably with students moving down front. But now all throughout the stadium, you can much more clearly read the Minnesota and the upper bleachers on the far side, as well as their own M down in the lower bowl.
And you could also see the sheer amount of blue that's in this stadium. Wolverines got fans all over the country, all over the world. And Tommy Doman will kick things off, literally. That whoa just scared me so bad.
In Minnesota, they get a bye week next week to regroup, then a difficult game at Iowa, a team that they just have really struggled with in recent history. PJ Fleck does not have a win against that rival.
They're never touching that pig. Fair catch in the end zone. We'll kick things off at Minnesota's 25. And if you're confused what I mean about that pig, if you're a Michigan fan listening to this, that is the Floyd of Rosedale trophy that Minnesota and Iowa fight for. I think it's hilarious. I think every Big Ten rivalry should have a trophy. This one is the Brown Jug. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think I know where it will be residing for the next year.
Michigan's held it since 2017. Minnesota has not beaten Michigan in this state since 1977. Last one in Ann Arbor.
That is when the first Star Wars came out. Oh, man. Handoff to Tyler. He gets wrapped up, but not before he gets a gain of about 5.
And Cali McManus staying in this game. I mean, I understand that you want to give him reps, but I almost feel at this point, I just don't know what playing him these last 9 minutes is going to do. And I would really think at this point, you get him off the field, you have a bye week, you regroup, figure out how to improve this offense against a tough Iowa defense, but also realizing they probably don't need to score nearly as much in that matchup as they would have here to win tonight.
My bad, the little Brown Jug. They hand the ball off again. Bit more on that one. Once again, Tyler was the ball carrier. And that'll be a first. Oh, that was about 3 people yelling, first down. It's cold. I don't blame anyone.
Yeah, Minnesota there, I mean, they're continuing to pound on the ground. It's worked to an extent, but even with the ground game, they're just not going to be able to build entire drives off of running the football. The rushing game really should be supplementing the passing game, but there just is no passing game to speak of other than one successful play they had in the final minute of the first half, or final 10 seconds, I really should say.
Hand it off to Tyler again. He's going to run up the right side. Minnesota's moving from left to right. Gain of 4. Just plugging and chugging here for the Golden Gophers. Almost seems like they're just trying to take time off the clock and not put the ball back in Michigan's hands.
Yeah, getting Sean Tyler some work now. We saw it. Zach Evans won freshman running back of the week for Big Ten last week. Darius Taylor the 3 weeks before. Now trying to get another guy in on the action in this running game that really controls the pace of the Minnesota offense.
Tyler again, wrapped up. 1 yard gain. But it's not about the gain, it's about the time that comes off the clock. As at this point, the Wolverines have all but put a bow on it.
Yeah, as we see Minnesota really at this point, no urgency. I mean, they're just trying to get something going. They don't want to rush and continue to make mistakes.
Callie McManus going to hand it off once again, and Tyler's going to get gobbled up before he even gets out of the backfield. 1 yard loss, 4th and 6. Bring out the punter, and Tuttle will bring him back out.
Yeah, and I just wonder there. I mean, I understand the ground game is where they have the most success, but I just don't understand the purpose of running 5 straight plays there on a 3rd and 5, clearly a passing situation. I just don't think, even as good as their running game can be, that they really showed it was a method to succeed there.
That's a long punt, fair caught at the 19. And I believe that punter was Mark Crawford. And get this. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, I think McGrath is maybe taking one. I don't know. But get this. Especially when they're like old. Because they've already, I don't know, finished their schooling.
Yeah, you take a look at this Michigan team now. I mean, in an ideal world for Michigan, yeah, 5:41 left in this 4th quarter. Ideally for them, they just run out the clock right here, pound the ball on the ground. But I still think, I mean, you're looking, I don't know if they're going to keep Jack Tuttle in or give a look to another quarterback. But I still think, I mean, at this point, you have it as an addition. I think, honestly, that you play a little bit of a balance and just try to take advantage of some looks to, again, try to set up. Michigan is in a difficult spot. I mean, I think so far you can say this team is better even than the team last year, and as well as postseason success in a year where it just doesn't feel like there's as many dominant teams. Ohio State still perhaps a question mark at quarterback with Kyle McCord. Alabama definitely on the quarterback side. Even Georgia looking a little shakier. So I think that it's really right there. But of course, you're looking for long-term success. And Michigan likely to lose their starting quarterback and running back after this season. So obviously they're going to see what they can do this year. Of course, they do have those big games at Penn State and home to Ohio State in November. They have to win those if they even want to make it to the playoff. But going forward, sustaining the long-term health of this organization, really finding out at the 2 arguably most important positions on offense. Obviously, you have receivers as well, but the distribution spread out there, so losing one receiver won't hurt as much. Who are their options? Obviously, you have Donovan Edwards. He's a junior, so he'll have another year of eligibility. But then on the quarterback side especially, Michigan doesn't want to run into that situation that it kind of feels like Alabama and Ohio State have this year, where they just kind of hit a wall just because they don't know who their quarterback is.
Before we get into this, I'd like to give a customary St. Louis shout out, though he's not really from St. Louis. Where are you, buddy? to Brady Weeks, long snapper, O'Fallon, Missouri. Fort Zumwalt West, I see you and the place you were born.
And it is Jaden Denegal now in at 4 quarterback for the Wolverines as they will continue to rotate it.
Denegal's just going to hand it off, though, and that's going to be to Tavier Dunlap. I'm going to give him a shout-out because I'm his TA. Woo!
Yeah, now another look for the Wolverines at running back. So as I said, both positions, quarterback and running back, also running a little bit of a tempo here. They're going to be forced away as Minnesota matches substitutions, but trying to run a little hurry up here with 5 minutes left of a blowout victory.
Denegal waiting. He's going to drop back. Pass maybe tipped a little bit, very wonky. Looked, it was low, it was moving funny. If someone got a fingertip on that, I wouldn't be surprised. 3rd and 3.
I will say, and I understand why you'd want to run a tempo offense, but when you're making substitutions and trying to hurry them, I just don't see the point. The defense is going to have time to match anyway, so I just don't really get the purpose. I feel like if you're going to run a tempo, you kind of have to do it without subs, and that's when you can really test it, even if you don't snap the ball right away.
Denegal take it himself. He gets pile drived, and it looks like he might be shaken up. Nope, he's up. Though a bit slow to run off the field. It's going to bring 4th and 3, and the Wolverines are going to have to punt.
Yeah.
Is this bad? I'm not even gonna make that joke. We're on the backups.
Yeah, they go empty backfield, spread it out. Hoping Minnesota looks for the pass, go with the quarterback draw. Just really didn't fool the Gophers defense enough.
Long punt. Fair caught. Bit of intimidation going on there.
And you're allowed to go up to 1 yard directly in front of the returner. You go inside that 1 yard and you could be penalized for kick catch interference, whether there's contact or not. But no reason not to get right up to that 1 yard border.
Oh, it's hilarious. When they just have to fair catch it and there's just a man staring you in the eyeballs. I think it's hysterical. Minnesota with 144 yards of offense in this game. Let's see if we can get to 150.
Yeah, that is just really out of character for a team that averages 193 yards on the ground alone. Now, you take a look at the Michigan defense, on the other hand. Opponents average only 246 yards per game, which is very good. Of course, this defense is also the top scoring defense in college football. But you factor in that even includes, of course, the 3 games against non-Power 5 opponents in their non-conference schedule. And Minnesota's still below that. But it really just is because they do not have that passing offense. You take a look at the breakdown in this game. They only have 92 yards on the ground, which is still well below less than half of their season average. But they also only have 52 yards in the air. They have not completed a pass here in the second half. And I know they've had issues throwing the ball, but that to me is a big red flag. If you're on the Gopher side, of course, they're going to be a 3-3 team, kind of playing on the fringes of bowl eligibility. Mixed schedule coming up. You have a tough game in Iowa. You play at Ohio State. They probably lose that game. But they have home games against Michigan State and Illinois, play at Purdue. Those are all games arguably they should win. Even a home game against Wisconsin, that's a winnable game. So you're really looking right on the fringes of getting into a bowl. I think they have 3 games they should win and get in, but they really have to figure out this passing offense. Because even understanding it's against a really tough Michigan defense that allows 161 yards in the air against them per game on average this season. 52 yards just is not even coming close to cutting it.
And let's bring them back out here. So you've got another 4 minutes and 10 seconds of lovely football game time to share with you. Thanks for sticking with us. I know we've had a bit of connectivity, but if you've been listening, we really do appreciate that. As Callie, Tyler in the backfield, I think he's hunched over. So I can't see his number from here. Run right into that brick wall again. Right of center. That was not Tyler. That was Jordan Newbin, number 30. I could not see the number from where he was hunched over, but now you know. 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7. And let's take our sweet time.
And again, you can take that 3-yard gain on first down. It keeps you close to schedule. They just have to be able to now find a way. Maybe they run it again, but you need that passing attack in order to even be able to run it on consecutive plays.
Up the middle again. Everybody's joining in on the party. There's about 19 guys in there. Newbin again. 6-yard gain, 3rd and 1. Clock will keep ticking, obviously.
And at this point, I think that I just have to think they get it to 3rd and 1. I just have to imagine they're going to run this ball. I don't see any reason now, with 1 yard to go, they would deviate. It's going to actually be 3rd and 2 from the 32-yard line. Still think they're going to keep this on the ground here.
That'll be enough for a Minnesota first down. Newbin again.
And they will now, barring any negative plays here, hit that threshold of 150 yards of total offense that you had put out there, as that 1 first down is enough to cover that. Still going under center here, and I wonder if they're going to throw another pass this game or if they're just going to run it to bleed out these final couple minutes.
Another handoff up the gut. Newbin again, the ball carrier.
And it's even more interesting to me, they leave Callie McManus out there, and I would think maybe they want to get him repetitions, but then they're just handing the ball off. I mean, I think whether you're going to keep him out, see if he can maybe develop a little confidence, which I just don't really see happening, or you put another quarterback out, this is arguably the most confounding of all the options they have.
Minnesota just trying to stop the bleeding a little bit here. Staunching the wound. Another run up the gut. 2-yard gain. Newbin again. They're going to pound the rock until that final 1 minute and 5 seconds trickles down.
And at this point, there's a 41-second differential between the play clock and game clock, which means if they run it down enough, they can just run this ball one more time and then head to the locker room. Looks like that's what they're doing, letting this run under 5. Yeah, they get a first down there, run it again, get up to midfield. But I do not expect them to run another play. Not really sure what the offense is doing. They're just kind of standing around looking at the sideline. I don't know what the coaching staff wants this offense to do.
Nothing. They don't want them to do anything.
I mean, they're huddling. Most of the team is huddling. At least the offensive line is. But I do not think they're running another play here. I think they've had enough. They got some success on the ground there to add a few extra yards. But with that only being on the ground, I just really don't think it does anything as far as building any sort of confidence long term. As we officially reach the end here.
That'll do it. 52-10 is our final score here in Minneapolis, Huntington Bank Stadium. You've been a dream, maybe a nightmare, maybe not a real dream. As the Wolverines will close out an impressive and dominant performance over the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, and you really, to me, the biggest thing is the Michigan pass defense. I mean, offensively, continued balanced attack, just as we've seen all year. The run defense was solid, giving up 117 yards, with over 20 of them coming in garbage time on this final drive. That's on the ground, and that's good against a team that runs for almost 200 yards per game. But you take out that 35-yard touchdown pass from Callie McManus to Daniel Jackson at the end of the first half, which I'm sure is a play that they talked about at halftime, and they'll probably talk about after the game again when they're looking at film. You take that out, it's 17 yards in the air that Michigan's defense allowed. Against a Big Ten opponent, that's almost unreal, giving Michigan a lot of confidence on defense. And going in next week against Indiana, really not a team they should have much more trouble with. Finally go back home after a 2-game road trip, their first of the season. And then on the Minnesota side, you have a bye. Then you go to a very tough place to play at Iowa. And Minnesota's really going to have to figure out how they can throw the ball better, because doing that will also cause them to run the ball better.
Let's close it out. Give me your MVP for Michigan today.
I mean, I think it's a difficult task, just because on the defensive side, everything is just so well balanced. I mean, I think if you have to pick one player, I mean, we'll take a look at just some defensive stats here, because I think you have to take someone on the defense, just with how dominant they played. You know, Graham leading the way, 6 total tackles, had 1 sack. Of course, 2 pick sixes as well. But I think in the end, I just have to go on the defensive side with defensive tackle Mason, or a defensive lineman, Mason Graham. Just part of that defensive front for this Wolverines team that put so much pressure on Callie McManus and really stifled this Gophers passing attack all game.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I absolutely agree with your pick. Thank you so much for sticking with us today. It's been a little bit rough, but we truly appreciate everyone that tuned in, even if it was just for a minute. Thanks to Owen Crane and William Gregory there in that first half. I've been Kendall Spencer. Zach Linder has joined me. Football will be back next weekend at home against Indiana. We'll have a crew covering that. Hope you tune in. And we'll leave you, as we always do, with a good night